Can I see you a minute, please? Please.
¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. All right. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, Heat, Mighty Mouse, Mousehander, I should say, Quad Bennett. How's it going, everybody? Curious, what are your feelings towards Mickey the Mouse? Mr. Mouse? You mean Disney? Too woke. Welcome, everybody. Santos joins Independent Party because of the GOP embarrassment. I don't think he's gonna be elected, even if he tries to be independent or whatever. Oh man. Honestly, I think Santos is done. I think his career is done in terms of politics. That's just my opinion. That mouse is a huge capitalist rodent, but he's not even the biggest one. True. I am already hungry, folks. Can you believe it? All right, folks. Let me go ahead and get started. I think we should do this one. So, how are your country's bridges holding up? Oh man. Whew. Do we have stuff to talk about with that? Boy, do we have stuff to talk about. Before we get started, can everybody hear me okay? Also, while that's going on, sounds good. Okay, good. Excellent. Excellent. Before we get started, the usual disclosures. Folks, if you want to support the channel and you want to do so, there are several different ways. 1,000,001 different ways to do so. You can like the stream if you're on the YouTube. You can subscribe on the YouTube, as 251 of you have already done. Share the channel on Twitch. You can follow. There are subscriptions, biddies, all that awesome stuff. You can also check out some merch. ! Merch should do the trick there. Or you can just check it out on the website if for some reason the command doesn't want to work for you. Actually, here's a question. Can the command work on YouTube? That is the question. Because technically, it should be able to, because it's just the chat being regurgitated through Restreambot, but then again, it might not work because it's regurgitated through Streambot, so I don't know. But anyways, check out the website at difficulttruth.com. And you can just click on the shop button. Also, folks, don't forget, join the Discord this Saturday. Yes, that's right, this Saturday. Can you believe it? It's already here. It's movie night. Once a month, folks. Last Saturday of every month. It just happens to be this Saturday this time. Join us. Huzzah! All right. Dune, indeed. Dune. All right, folks, let's get started. I'm on a time frame here. I'm on a time crunch because I'm hungry. Let's do this. I don't know. I think we should start here. You know, when it comes to like stirring the pot, I think this is an appropriate setting to stir the pot, especially when it's a bunch of far right people fighting with each other. I think it's beneficial to continue to stir the pot. So yeah, I'll let Mike Figueroa take it away.
On Friday, the Daily Wire's co-founder Jeremy Boring announced that the company had ended their relationship with Candace Owens, and this is already proving to be a pretty nasty breakup, and you'll have to see it. Now, neither party has cited the specific cause for this breakup, but it's pretty obvious why this happened, and I think that we can all put two and two together. As of late, Candace Owens has been directly at odds with people at the Daily Wire like Ben Shapiro, especially because of her criticism of Israel. Now, Ben Shapiro often conflates any and all criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism and says that if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. And I think that that's dangerous because it cheapens actual anti-Semitism when they use it cynically like that to shut down criticism of a government's actions.
Right, and Ben knows this. Okay, Ben knows this. He's just a fascist.
Having said that, though, when people say that Candace Owens is anti-Semitic, not that Ben Shapiro has said this, but when people say that Candace Owens is anti-Semitic, there actually is merit to that claim. And I do think that she doesn't really care about the people of Gaza. And I feel like she's just exploiting this issue to push broader conspiracies about Jewish people because she doesn't like Jewish people. Now, let me show you what I mean by that. So she's condemned Israel's genocide in Gaza and said that there's no justification for genocide, and she's also vocalized opposition to taxpayer money going to Israel. And I mean, if that was all that she said, then sure, she'd likely still ruffle feathers at the Daily Wire, but that's not all that she said. She said some really fucked up things, as Variety
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is not, like, if it would be one thing if, like, the only thing that she said was like, oh yeah, you know, it turns out like genocide is bad. Nobody would be batting an eye at that. Okay, everybody agrees with that. But it's not like it's not just that. And if I had to place a bet, I would probably bet that she doesn't really care about the Palestinian people. Yeah, Ben doesn't care, not at all. Like, she said some like openly like Nazi conspiracy shit. Zero pushback. Zero. Muddying the waters. It is a strategy. Yes, it is.
Explains, Owens has used her perch at Daily Wire to deliver commentary perceived as anti-Semitic. She recently said on her Daily Wire show that a Jewish gang in Hollywood is doing horrific things and suggested Jews are going to be blamed if TikTok is banned. And earlier this week, she liked an X post that promoted an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that Jews were drunk on Christian blood. Yeah, so you see what I mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just like old school like blood libel Nazi shit. Wasn't she visiting some Nazis in Europe last weekend? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
Right? She didn't just criticize the Israeli government or specific actions that they took. She went full Kanye. And speaking of Kanye, she also defended him when he went full Hitler back in 2022. True. And that defense of Kanye caused a lot of tension between her and Ben Shapiro. And her latest anti-Semitic remarks probably drove an even bigger wedge between her and Ben, as evidenced by the fact that she no longer is with the Daily Wire. Now, I've got to say, people like Candace Owens are extremely dangerous because she is exploiting the genocide in Gaza in order to push a harmful agenda, right? She's using this to spread conspiracy theories about all Jewish people, when Jewish people aren't responsible for the actions of the Israeli government. There are Jewish people in the United States who are speaking out saying no to the genocide, not in our name, right? And because she's doing this, that tells me she doesn't actually care care about Gazans, because that anti-Semitic rhetoric legitimizes cynical allegations of anti-Semitism made by genocide apologists like Ben Shapiro. So she's giving them ammunition and ascribing culpability to all Jewish people, and that is wrong. But with that being said, the Daily Wire, they've cultivated an audience of far-right fascists, many of which are actually anti-Semitic, like Candace Owens, and they didn't take the news too well that Candace Owens was out at the Daily Wire. For example, here's some of the more popular responses to Boring's announcement that she was out with the company. One person said they ended their membership. Another person shared a tweet of Boring defended Candace's...
Yeah, so it's not... it's to no one's surprise that all of a sudden, like, all these freaking Nazis come out of the woodwork, right? And it seems to be a reoccurring theme with conservatism. Yeah, Candace only cares about Candace.
Right to say what she wants, and I think that that's a fair point to bring up because hosts say egregious things on this network all the time. Their hosts have called for the eradication of transgenderism and even helped libs of TikTok incite bomb threats against children's hospitals. So it seems arbitrary, if you're a fan of the Daily Wire, to see them draw this line at anti-Semitism when the network regularly traffics in all kinds of hate all the time. In fact, they all know that Candace Owens was brought on to say terrible things about black people that the hosts felt like they couldn't say because they would be called racist. And she did just that. The things that she said about George Floyd in particular are genuinely despicable. So people are now calling the Daily Wire hypocrites because they can't understand why all of a sudden this one kind of hate is unacceptable. And I don't think they're wrong to think that the network is hypocritical, but Candace Owens is trying to shift the narrative away from her anti-Semitism in an effort to turn this into a conversation about her being the one who's the victim, specifically because she's a Christian. And
yeah, no surprises there, as you guys just mentioned. Candace is only looking out for her bank account.
For some reason, it's working. And the reason why it's working is because I think she's a much more skilled propagandist than a lot of the folks at the Daily Wire. So let me try to explain, but I mean, you'll have to bear with me because if you're not terminally online, this is going to be kind of difficult to understand. But basically, when she first denounced Israel's genocide back in November of last year, Ben Shapiro publicly criticized her, but she didn't respond directly to him. Rather, she just made a cryptic tweet about him while not explicitly naming him, as Mediaite points out. But she says a bunch of incoherent religious bullshit and follows up with a Christ is King, and that was in November of last year. Now, in the aftermath of her breakup with the Daily Wire that took place again, she made an insufferably long post implying that she's being persecuted for being a Christian, which in turn prompted people to show solidarity with Candace by tweeting Christ is King, including people like alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate and Nazi influencer Sneeko. Now that phrase was
Yep.
used so much it ended up trending, to which Candace Owens responded saying Christ is King is trending worldwide. The media's attempt to cross him again has failed. Now, people like Andrew Tate and Sneeko don't subscribe to Christianity. They're both Muslims, in fact. So they, along with a lot of other people, were using Christ is King not as a celebration of Jesus or because they love Jesus, but because it was seen as a coded fuck you at worst to Jewish people and at best specifically geared towards Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Nice friends, right?
Because that's the way that Candace Owens seemingly used it in response to criticism that she received from Ben Shapiro back in November. Now, the phrase Christ is King in a vacuum obviously isn't inherently anti-Semitic, even though it is factually incorrect since God is not real. But neo-Nazis don't usually say what they mean. They often use coded words and dog whistles to communicate. I mean, they turned an innocuous meme like Pepe the Frog into an alt-right symbol. So anything can technically be turned into a bigoted dog whistle depending on the context within which it's used. And Jeremy Boring made this exact point and caused an absolute shitstorm on the right as a result. So Jason Whitlock, a Christian conservative commentator, tweeted, "I'm asking this sincerely. I'm a student of life. I'm not that smart. There are many things I do not know. This is a sincere question without snark or sarcasm or trolling. How is saying Christ is King anti-Semitic? When did this become true? Is it true?"
Like, well, it depends on the context, but it can be. That Bible where she posted before saying Christ is King is all about persecution. She's such a victim. Yeah, it's like a necessary factor, right? Like for conservatism and the whole griftosphere. the whole conservative griftosphere, like you need to be the victim. It's this victim complex. All of these people have that. Yeah, 100%.
Somebody's clearly not as terminally online as they should be. Now, I think there are a lot of people like Jason who just didn't know why people were saying it was anti-Semitism, but Jeremy Boring responded saying, how is saying Christ is King anti-Semitic? The same way anything becomes anti-Semitic, when it is used for the purpose of expressing anti-Semitism. It's like,
Holy shit. Jeremy Boring actually is the reasonable, logical one in this. Wild times, folks.
asking, how does a shovel become a murder weapon when it is used to murder someone? This isn't hard. A shovel is not innately a murder weapon. Saying,
dang. That's actually a very good point. I actually like the way that this is being described. Huh. You know what? I'm actually going to steal this. When some far-right clown wants to hide from what they're actually saying by dancing around words and saying like, oh, well, I'm not being anti-Semitic. I'm not being racist. Why do you think that saying whatever X dog whistle is racist or anti-Semitic or whatever? Yeah, this is actually a I'm gonna keep this in my pocket. You think this guy was an idiot with all the garbage he's created? Oh, no doubt. But at the same time, like, I've got a feeling like these people know what they're doing.
Christ is King
Yeah, it is the head of the Daily Wire.
is not innately anti-Semitic. It's all about how a thing is used. He later adds, additionally, saying Christ is King for an evil purpose, like using it as a weapon to express your hatred or disdain for Jews, is a grave sin. It plainly violates the third commandment, thou shalt not carry forth the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Now, in response, reactionaries and neo-Nazis had a pretty predictable response. For example, Christian conservative dingbat Melanie Mack and neo-Nazi Jake Shields both responded by just saying Christ is King again.
Yeah. So, yeah, like instantly proving Jeremy Boring's point, like instantly.
We know what they mean by it. Right-wing grifter Kim Iverson said that the statement was anti-Christian, and blue check user D.
Yeah, no surprise there, Kim Iverson. And Lauren Chen is just like a far-right loony as well.
V said that this is leftist logic, while the Blaze TV's Lauren Chen was trying to nuance
Leftist logic, dude. Man. Bipedal meatbag, yeah, they can't help but tell on themselves.
troll him, I guess, by implying that he didn't think it was possible to use the term in a non-anti-Semitic way, even though he didn't say that if you read the full post, or even what we read. And the Quivering responded by suggesting that the
Hey, quarter pounder.
Daily Wire was going to war with Christians. So on one hand, it's frustrating to see right-wingers deliberately misconstrue the point that he's trying to make.
They instantly proved the point that he's trying to make. There's no there's no misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. They're just big mad. That's it.
Because they do that all the time to people on the left. But on the other hand, the Daily Wire has purposefully cultivated a far-right evangelical audience that includes a lot of Nazis. So
Yep. And the same thing happened with this post, which I have like on standby. If you look at the responses of the Babylon Bees thing, because like it's very clear who the audience is here, and for once they take a pot shot at the audience, yeah. If you just take a gander at the actual responses, they didn't like it. Nope. Like you could see like the top comments. There's only like two. There's only 3 responses. Actually, no. There's only 2 responses. In this comment section, there are the people who, the lefties who are saying like, wow, cool and normal audience you've cultivated here. And then, so in other words, there's the people who came there for the comments, and then like the Nazis. Yeah. Yeah, the entire comment thread is a KKK rally. A lot of everything's funny until they make fun of me going on in this thread. Yep. Guys, this isn't true. This isn't funny. Take this down. Nick Fuentes is great. Look over there. Jesus is king, which is exactly what we were just talking about. This is a Nazi. Unfollow Nazi. Congratulations, you win the round to find the Nazis. Yep. The comments sort of proved the point. Now do Muslims and Jews. Another fucking... Oh, it's a statue. It's a statue account. Yep. That was a moment to come into chat. Yep. Nowhere in this tweet are Jews mentioned, and yet every reply. Uh-oh. Yep, Nazi. Nazi. A reared, twisted swastika. This is a Nazi. It's probably a Nazi. Oh, America first. Yeah, this is a Nazi. Your mask has been slipping for a while, B. Going full mask off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The Talmudic B? Oof. Paleo-conservative? Yeah. Paleo-conservative. This is a Nazi. Yeah. Filth. Another statue. Sounds like a terrible diet, paleo-conservatism. It is. It turns your brain into mush. Another Nazi. Why post this? Probably another Nazi. Truth seeker. Oh, man. Oof. What's the point in the Babylon Bee if you're not going to be any different than the Onion? Yeah. Yeah, this is probably a Nazi. Oh, yeah. Definitely a Nazi. Positive Christendom nationalism? Ryan Bluter? I'm pretty sure this is a freaking Nazi. Very Jewish. Yeah. Do not associate the Confederate States with Nazis. CSA was not a racial supremacist movement. It was a secession from the U.S., which was at the time run by white separatists. Question mark. Yeah, I don't know. This is yeah. This was definitely about a racial supremacist. Like, literally, it's in any of the... Like, if you actually look at what the government of the southern states wrote, It was very clear what it was about. Even in their freaking no, it was the letters of something. It was the letters of something where the vice president of the Confederacy said that, like, actually, the concept that we were all created equal is garbage, and we fully reject the idea that we're all created equal, as obviously white people are superior. Like that, literally, that's what they believe. This absolutely was a racial supremacy movement. The same reason why all these like KKK people freaking fly the Confederate flag. Israel is a construct, and that's a fact. What does that mean? Can you elaborate on? Can you elaborate that? We're not talking about Israel. It's kind of a weird. It's kind of a weird comment to put. And Jewish Hands typed this, another statue profile. Trump 2024. Not surprised. Another freaking Nazi. The guy that runs this is Jewish, right? Another statue account, Nazi. Uh-oh. White Lives Matter California. Another Nazi account. Anyways, I think I've made the point, right? Every time, like, you know, these right wing people like say something against their far right base, all these Nazis come out of the woodwork saying like, "Oh, well, I supported you until," and then, you know, things like, "Oh, I guess they got to you too." Yeah. Whew. Really telling, right? Like really telling about the type of audience that these right-wing news outlets, including the Daily Wire, and well, the Babylon Bee is not the news outlet; it's like a media outlet or whatever. Satire. Yeah, it really kind of, the whole point is to illustrate that it's incredibly telling, the kind of people that are attracted to these conservative media outlets, from streaming services like the Daily Wire, to YouTube channels that are right-wing, to even this quote-unquote called satire site. The moment they freaking dare take a swipe at their audience, you can really tell who comes out of the woodwork, right? Man, if I had a media channel, a media company channel, news outlet, magazine, comic, whatever it is, and I said something against Nazis and I realized that I have a Nazi audience, like, man, I did something horribly wrong. I'm just saying, it's incredibly telling.
So to me, this is a matter of them having to lie in the bed that they made for themselves, right? You can't complain about stray cats coming around your house after you leave a bowl of food out for them every single night. They're going to keep coming if you keep feeding them. And that's exactly what the Daily Wire has been doing for years with their neo-Nazi and fascistic audience.
Yep. And they come out of the woodwork the moment the moment you go against them. Right, like PewDiePie. You never bite the hands that feed you, especially if your audience has big teeth.
They thought that the Nazis who watched them would just be satisfied with the racism and transphobia, but unsurprisingly, they're also pretty thirsty for anti-Semitism too. Who would have thought Nazis also like anti-Semitism? Interesting. So now the Daily Wire is in a position where they're at odds with the Nazis that they've pandered to, which is a pretty sizable portion of their audience. And it's not going well, obviously. Now, another Daily Wire host condemned Candace Owens, and as you watch his comments here, try to guess what the like to dislike ratio is.
But when you start saying things,
Hey, no, come back. Humbly asking, come back.
Whistles to communicate. Salute is not innate. For example, he didn't think it was. On one hand, it's frustrating to see right-wingers deliberately misconstrue the point that he's trying to make, and that's for anti-Semitism.
but when you start saying things,
Okay, let me.
Now, another Daily Wire host.
They show up to your conferences. They show up in your comments and your chat. Yeah, you got a Nazi problem. Exactly. Like, man, if Nazis feel comfortable to be like consuming your media, you're doing something wrong. You should probably have some introspection. You can't surprise Pikachu face, okay? You can't. After years and years and years and years and years, like, you can't surprise Pikachu face. Like Mike Figueroa said, they made that bed, now they have to lie in it. Yeah.
Condemned Candace Owens, and as you watch his comments here, try to guess what the like to dislike ratio is.
but when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned weren't so bad, I was shocked. This is something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning, or the Nazis were burning, they weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books. So they burn. That's true. Burning the book is the act of a savage, first of all. And when you start with burning books, you start burning people. When you start saying that, that's a dog whistle. I'm sorry. I know it's a leftist phrase. I know they use it, randomly.
That's not a dog whistle. That's a dang megaphone. That's not a dog whistle. A dog whistle is subtle. She was just straight up saying, like, you know what? The Nazis had it right when they started burning books, specifically burning books of the opposing ideology and trying to curtail that. I think that's actually good. Yeah, so that's not that's not a dog whistle. That's literally just saying, like, I actually think that the Nazis did something right.
With anything you say, I understand all of that. Still, the depredations of the Nazis against the Jews are one of the most well-documented, recorded atrocities in human history, because they're Germans. They're Germans. They keep records. They keep very good records. We know these things happen. They weren't burning books. They also hated Einstein because his science was Jewish science. They hated Mendelssohn, one of their great composers, because his music was Jewish music. That's the way they thought. It's lunacy. It's lunacy to think that way. So when you start to say, well, some of those books they burned are bad books, I'm sorry. That's a dog whistle. When you retweet a post saying a Jew is drunk on Christian blood, which goes back, as I'm sure you know, to old blood libel that Jews eat Christian children. That's a dog whistle. When you start to refer.
That's not a dog whistle. Again, like, I understand what he's saying, and I'm not going to knock him too much, other than the fact that he's like a right-wing ghoul on the Daily Wire. This is that's not a dog whistle. Literally using the same, like, well-documented, like, Nazi propaganda from back in the day. Like, that's not a dog whistle. Like, a dog whistle is more like, subtle, like saying they and using the parentheses, right? And using the parentheses. That's a dog whistle. Saying things like a elite cabal of bankers, that's a dog whistle. Blue Brother, welcome. Yeah, this is from like way back in medieval times, right? This is old school. This is old school and repackaged and repurposed. I'm pretty sure like the Nazis used this too, didn't they? The concept of blood libel.
Or in this kind of clever way to a certain group of people in Hollywood corrupting blacks and killing Michael Jackson. You're not allowed to then put on an innocent look and say, well, I'm just saying there's certain people, just a few, it's not, I'm just saying,
Yeah, see, that's a dog whistle.
You're messing with us. You're messing with us, and everyone knows it, and no one is fooled except those people who want to pretend to be fooled because they hate the Jews. The biggest truth that Candace told in that way, that I find, again, and this is not personal animus toward her, but I find difficult to excuse this when.
This is not personal animus towards her. Like, dude, you just admitted that she's out here saying like Nazi shit. There is no point in being kind or respectful at that point. Like you just admitted, and you correctly and concisely put the problems with what she is saying. Like, there's no real reason to even caveat that, like, oh, I don't have any personal animus. So then, like, do you not? I don't understand.
Anybody does it. The truth that hid wickedness, that I thought was the most wicked truth to use, was the truth that Christ is king.
Okay, let me try to help you out, Andrew. First and foremost, dog whistle isn't a leftist phrase, and that's just a stupid thing to say.
True.
Second of all, banning books is just one step removed from burning books, which your side is currently doing. The rhetoric on your network towards trans people is
True.
It's eerily similar to the rhetoric Nazis used to describe Jewish people.
True.
So this right here is
it's not a coincidence either.
Fascist audience that you all cultivated. And the fact that you have to now explain why Nazis are bad to your audience kind of shows that maybe you've pandered to the wrong people. Is it going to trigger any introspection whatsoever? Probably not. Now, Candace Owens, to make this more interesting, she joined the Daily Wire in 2021, which is 2 years after she made this comment about Hitler.
When you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler.
Whew. Yeah, you could probably end the segment right there, right? Like, cut the segment. All right, that's pretty much all you need from Candace Owens there. Thank you, Candace. Jesus Christ.
He was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he wanted.
Do you want to talk about the issues in voice chat? No. What issues do you have? You can post it in chat if you have a relevant issue with me, or relevant issue with the topic at hand, I should say.
He had dreams outside of Germany.
I just can't believe that person turned out to be anti-Semitic. Who would have thought? You can never trust anyone nowadays, right? Now, of course, the response to Andrew was exactly what you'd expect. The like to dislike ratio was nearly 50%, and the comments were
nearly 50%. Whew. Yikes.
Pretty anti-Semitic, especially towards Ben Shapiro. Christ is king. Every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And
well, the issue that I have will be banned. So, what issue? Because if you have something that will get you banned, why are you here? just spit it out so we can get it over with. Jesus.
This person is saying that, and they obviously mean Jewish people too. Another person says,
Ben doesn't need to be told Christ is king because he is a Jew, and he needs the same reason we all need, because it's true, and faith in him is a oof. My timeout button wasn't working. It's all good. Listen, Crunchy, whatever the heck your name is, if you don't want to just spit it out, like, just find somewhere else to be, a Nazi, please. Why are all Nazis just so freaking, like, cowardly that they don't want to, like, just say it out with their chest? So it could just be so easy to just, like, ban right from the get-go and move on.
Ben doesn't need to be told Christ is king because he's a Jew. He needs it the same reason we all need it, because it's true and faith in him is the only way to heaven. In other words, Jewish people aren't going to go to heaven. Also, Christ is king, and it's not...
Yeah, like, follow-up question. If you know that your opinion will get you banned, why would you want to talk to me about it in voice? Okay. I have never done that in the history of this in the history of this channel. I have never done that. I have never dragged somebody in voice to like debate them, and based on previous comments, I am very, very, very suspicious. That's a really good question. That's why I'm asking. That's what I'm asking myself like daily. Yeah, like, listen, why would you bother? Wait, maybe I timed your message, but in any case, it brings up a point in my head. Like, if you're gonna come in here into this channel and then like lead with some very vague, like, random stuff that has nothing to do with the topic at hand and is very suspect, why not just say it out with your chest, dude? Like, why just not say it? So that we can just get the ban over with and move on with our lives, right? Like, if you're a Nazi and you're gonna come into this channel, just say it so we can just ban you and move on. Jesus Christ.
Optional. He doesn't want Ben to stay Jewish. None of what I just said is anti-Semitism. It's just having a view on what's true. Some more. Andrew, I love your show, but you totally lost me when you suggested that Ben should not accept Jesus because it would devastate his family. Another person. I'm not sure where you're getting this idea that Candace is engaging in anti-Semitism. I mean...
I don't understand where you get this idea that Candace Owens is engaging in anti-Semitism. She's just, in several clips, like, praising Hitler and saying that the issue with Hitler is that not the whole genocide thing. That's not the issue with Hitler, is that he tried to expand it past Germany. See, if he would have just kept the genocide down in his own country, it would have been okay. Like, Jesus. She's also said several other, Nazi stuff, like the blood libel comment, the fact that she defended Kanye, I like Hitler, West. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where people are getting this idea that Candace is just a Nazi. I was referring to the Nazis. They try to desperately hide their political views. It's because they're freaking cowards. That's what it is. It's because they're freaking cowards, and they know that nobody is going to go with their worldview if they come out with it up front. If they're honest up front, they know that they'll never, ever, ever, ever have the support that they would ever need. So they have to be they have to do the things like try to hide and play word games and dog whistles and constantly performing like mental gymnastics just so that they don't have to be completely honest with their genocidal ideology, because they know just how horrible it is and just how little it is accepted and is acceptable in society. So yeah, they're just cowards, that's all. That's what it is. Sounds like current U.S. policy regarding Israel.
He just gave you several examples. That term is thrown around willy-nilly the same way that racism and bigotry are thrown around by people who claim such about everyone whom they disagree. It's ridiculous. Jews can't even spell it correctly without concerns of being flagged, and Israel are not above criticism. Notice how he did a little switcheroo there and said Jews and Israel, as if they're all to blame for what Israel is doing.
Right. This is a Nazi.
And this person says, I do not hate Jews, but
stop. Every time you get this person, because these Nazis and these racists are all the same. I'm not racist, but I'm not a Nazi, but I'm not anti-Semitic, but
way Shmuley treated her was utterly disgusting. Major yikes. So this backlash comes because his own audience feels betrayed, because after pushing intolerance for years, their audience feels like this is a 180 because all of a sudden they're pushing tolerance when they were told that intolerance is fine. In fact, it's good, actually. I mean, they've been conditioned to be hateful, intolerant bigots, and now they're revolting because the Daily Wire is telling them the opposite. Well, of course that's happening. Now, aside from that, these criticisms from the Daily Wire of Candace Owens, and specifically her use of Christ as King, is further evidence to her fans that Christians really are being persecuted. And can you guess whose fault they think it is?
Uh-oh.
They think it's the fault.
Wait. Let me guess. It's Jewish people. I've never started a sentence that way, but I wish you were right. Currently, the AfD is 20%. In Germany, in case you know, the AfD is the current, quote, Nazi party. The AfD is definitely the far-right party, but they can't be completely outright. I mean, like, didn't one of the guys from the AfD get arrested for, like, outright, like, holding a bunch of Nazi shit? Like, he got arrested. He got busted by the cops. This AfD guy, AfD party member. I think, was he a member of parliament? I'm pretty sure he was, like, a member of the governing body. I don't know if you guys call it parliament or whatever it is. He got caught with like Nazi shit. Yeah, I'm well aware. I make it a point to keep tabs on who the clowns are, you know? Like, they don't call themselves like the Nazi party. They call themselves the Alternative for Germany. Come on. Yeah, there it is. This wasn't that long ago, by the way. This was literally just a few months ago. Like 4 months ago. No, not 4 months ago. Way more than that. Like 6 months ago.
Of Jewish people. And that she's right about that too. So Candace Owens might be ghoulish, but
He's still at the uni? Probably not after that.
she's a master of deflection and obfuscation, and she's a pretty good propagandist. And even though her opposition to Israel's genocide is good, she's opposed to it for all the wrong reasons. If you're going to oppose a genocide, you should do it because human life is precious, and that's what you should base your opposition to genocide on, not because it's an opportunity for you to disseminate conspiracy theories about an entire group of people that you already fucking hate. It's despicable. But things are getting really ugly between her and the Daily Wire, and even Dave Rubin tried to jump in.
No, Dave Rubin. These high-level ideas. Beef and mushroom stew? Stop it. Stop it. Yep. He was, wasn't aware that he made it to U.S. News. No, that was, I think, the DW, I think, is European news, isn't it? I'm just a little bit more sensitive to, like, keeping tabs of, like, the far right more than, I guess it's because, you know, it turns out that I don't like Nazis. So I keep tabs on what's going on, and how much they've gained ground. You are correct. And it's not just Germany, by the way. It's not just Germany.
He's a former friend of Candace Owens, and he talked about how she gave him the cold shoulder after she defended Kanye.
First off, the cleanest way I can tell you this.
I'm still recovering from these high-level ideas. That's a stressful hobby.
Is that when Candace started getting real famous and the Kanye thing happened and everything else.
I'm terminally online, what can I say?
One day out of nowhere, she unfollowed me on Twitter. So I had sort of helped her get to a certain extent, and then she unfollowed a bunch of people. Like, she had a bunch of people that she followed, and then she unfollowed me. So I took that sort of as like a mark of just like, and I'm not trying to create shit here. I really am not, actually.
But
I just kind of...
There it is.
Took that of a mark of like, oh, like, there is a limit to our friendship, like it was sort of transactional for you to a degree. Then, I don't know, a couple of years ago, she changed her phone number and didn't tell me. So I needed to contact her about something, and I had to go around away. So it's like, I don't know, if you were friends with someone, would you be doing that? But again, I'm not doing this for drama purposes. I'm doing this to clean up some of the nonsense around this. Now, have I agreed with her positions on Israel and Gaza? Obviously not. Obviously not. She's gotten into it with me on Twitter a couple times. I would say in a fairly disrespectful way when if you are friends with someone, you can take it offline and deal with it that way. So that's really what I mean.
Yes, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Okay? I'm here to help stir the pot. Okay? I'm here to help continue to stir the pot. Okay? This was more details that more details and more context to all of this that I did not have when we first reported on the Daily Wire firing Candace Owens. Whew. I was confused for a moment. DW is German news for foreigners. Gotcha. David is such a gross sellout tool. I can't even listen to him. Yep, I completely understand. Trust me. But if you take it offline, you can't monetize it, which is part of my business model. I'm Lithuanian. If it helps, I would love to talk to you in voice, debate about certain issues. You call me Nazi like 10 times, if not more, but my grandparents were Nazi survivors. Also, I have a profound history in case you need one. Okay, why don't you just say it out with your chest, okay? Why don't you just say what your issue is up front? That was my point. Okay, so your initial comment, I should say. Like, first of all, I don't do voice chat. Israel's a construct, and that's a fact. Like, countries are constructs? Question mark? The British Empire constructed and conducted Israel. Why do you put it in quotation marks? Like, what is... Like, I don't understand what the point was when I was talking about the Babylon Bee attacking Nazis and the Nazis getting mad. Do you see how that raises red flags? No, I'm not here to do voice chat. Just say what you need to say up front so we can move on.
Meant by that. By the way, I take no pleasure in that. I'm just telling you the reality as it is. I would also say that, you know, one of the things that I think helped me stay sane throughout all this, because, you know, friends come and go and fame comes and go and clicks come and go and all of that stuff, is that I have friends from before all this.
Bless his heart, he still thinks that he's relevant enough to insert himself into this conversation.
My batting finger is itchy. Well, I mean, they've got a chance to say what they need to say up front so we can just move on.
I had to humor him, right? Just hear him out. Nobody cares though, Dave. Now, in conclusion, multiple things can be true at once. Ben Shapiro and folks at the Daily Wire do support genocide, and even though Candace Owens does not, she's still very much anti-Semitic. But
Yes.
that doesn't mean that people who are opposed to genocide are also anti-Semitic, because most reasonable people can differentiate between the actions.
I'm not here to state, I don't want to state or say anything, my friend. I'm here to understand. Excellent. Then sit back and enjoy the show.
Of a single government and an entire group of people. And just because genocide apologists often equate all criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism doesn't mean that anti-Semitism doesn't exist, because it does, and it's a very huge problem. It's getting worse, in fact, based on data. It is
True.
a very serious issue. And last but certainly not least, Christ is not king, because Jesus is a fictional character that was the result of plagiarized work of earlier deities. If you don't believe me, look that shit up. But look, it's fine if you want to base your entire life on that story, and if you want to love Jesus, that's fine. But you don't have the right to demand that all others do the same and subscribe to your religion as well. And that's what the folks at the Daily Wire, their audience in particular, want. They want everyone to subscribe to Christianity, including Ben Shapiro. So hopefully, you know, the Daily Wire hosts acknowledge the dangers of pandering to Christian nationalists and fascists and evangelicals, because now it's being used against them. And final point, let them fight. You know, I was going to say it, but that's the most important point. Let them fight, because when fascists fight each other, that is a win for humanity.
True. Fix my buttons. My grandfather fought for the Wehrmacht, but as much as ordinary soldiers, he didn't know about the Nazi atrocities until the end of the war.
Penis and balls, vagina. Penis and balls, vagina. P word and balls.
P word. Nice. Okay, so this is gonna take quite the amount of context. Oh wait, I already have it here. So as you probably have already heard about, a container ship. Girly Bear, welcome. My paternal family were German too. They probably made horrible choices. I'm not making excuses for them. A ship has hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and the entire thing collapsed. I could have lived a happy life without hearing whatever it was. Nah, I thought that was funny.
But of course, you've been talking a lot about the potential for wrongdoing or potential for foul play given the wide open border.
Well, the dipshits sprung into action this morning following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Yeah. So, is it this clip? Yeah, it's this one.
Here is. Let me also get your take on what's going on in terms of world affairs. The White House has issued a statement on this saying that there's no indication of a nefarious intent in the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The ship involved in the collapse of the bridge is 948 feet long, called the Dolly, a Singaporean flagged container. But of course, you've been talking a lot about the potential for wrongdoing or potential for foul play given the wide open border. That is why you have been so adamant. Why has the Republicans had such a hard time securing this border? The president says he's not going to...
What does this have to do with the border? I'm confused. Maybe too soon, but it was in the dawn's early light. It was actually. As dark as that comment was. Yes. My bad, I'm walking my dog and lurking. Didn't know I typed. You're good.
to take is executive action. You know that.
Well, we all have to stand together. We all have to say that it takes 60 votes to pass anything in the Senate, and so
Border town, Baltimore.
Have to stand together and say, look,
well-known border town. Well-known border town, Baltimore, Maryland.
We're not going to do anything else unless we secure the border.
Here is. Let me.
Man, like never miss an opportunity. Like the xenophobic hate machine does not miss a beat at all.
In Baltimore, a 1.6 mile long bridge near the port that was struck by a cargo ship leaving the port that had lost power, which is why it struck the bridge. The reaction to this, largely has been just shock at the video that I'll get to in a minute here. And then you have the other side that, of course, the dipshits completely have lost their minds. And I'm not talking about just randos online. There are those as well. But people currently in the U.S. government and one person running for Congress. I'm sure one of them is in the thumbnail because she's a fucking idiot. But we'll get to that. And it isn't just the conspiracies, which, look, we don't know why the ship lost power. I don't know how these ships operate, so I can't.
So, to the best of my understanding of the situation, okay, they had a very, very technical issue that they could not fix in time. That the technical issue caused them to lose power at the worst possible time. They couldn't drop anchor in time to slow the ship down. They couldn't get it back going, get it back up and running to steer away. They didn't have time to do that. All they had time to do was to basically mayday. Was just basically to mayday and make sure that no other people were on the bridge. Make sure that no other traffic was on the bridge. That's it. Which they did. The captain, did the mayday, and the bridge was closed. Thankfully, preventing any more potential casualties. So what I've heard, if a ship that size crashed into the pillar of the bridge and just had to collapse, no conspiracy. Yeah, that's it. That was literally it. Like it's that simple. And like, just to be clear, the type of ship is not just like a small boat. It is one of the largest types of ships that we have. It's a freaking container ship for cars, and containers. Those are massive. Never assume nefarious intent when breakdown due to regulation, due to deregulation perfectly explains it. Yeah, no surprises if that ends up being the case. Exhibit A is Boeing right now. Those workers who are lost, though, did no one think to radio them, I wonder? I don't know. I don't know how that pans out in terms of communication.
Can't speculate myself. I'm not a moron, so I'm not going to go espousing things I don't know anything about. But there's another half of this that is, of course, somehow has turned this into blaming DEI, which I have, like, I am in between trying to laugh at how stupid this is to just being incredibly, I don't know, depressed or just.
And like most of that, by the way, most of the people, because I brought up the example, most of the people who are using, see, I was prepared for this shit. David just dropped this video, but it just so happens to be so perfect. I haven't seen the video, but the fact that like I could follow David's video and put the exact context and clips, phenomenal. And he just put this video out like maybe an hour ago or less. So the people who are talking about like, oh, this is a DEI thing, they're freaking Nazis. Most of them. This is a Nazi account. This is the literal Nazi account. And blaming this on lowered standards because of diversity. Yeah.
Disturbed.
And when they say DI, they just mean the N-word, literally. Didn't they do that to like the literal like mayor after this whole incident? And they were like, "Oh, it's the DEI the DEI mayor." That's what they referred to the mayor of Baltimore. I'm pretty sure it was the mayor of Baltimore, right? Was it? Hold on. Yeah, it was this dude. Yep. Following the incident, I think he made like a press conference or something to the effect, and they were all these like far right like Nazi accounts were calling him the DEI, the DEI mayor. I was listening to Gremlo this morning when I heard someone having a raging anti-DEI braingasm. It was unreal. It's like their constituency has to take on one concept at a time. They can't handle anything else in DEI right now. Yeah, which is just another like token for wokeness, which is another token for political correctness, which is another token for diversity or whatever. It's another token for just, dude, just let me be a raging bigot. Just please let me be a raging racist bigot. That's it. That's what those little replacement chips are. Because like they obviously, although now it's becoming more and more common for them to be a little bit more mask off. Normally they would like to try to use these dog whistles instead. Yeah, you might be right. The constructors intentionally built that bridge with a weakness in order to make it collapse when accidentally struck by a ship. True.
The level of stupidity that lives among us. So this video was tweeted out, or at least shared, by Omar Jimenez of, I believe, of CNN. Yes, CNN. So I'm going to show you the video here. Keep in mind, I'll get to why in a second, but luckily there weren't many people on the bridge at the time. So this could have been, of course, the result could have been a lot worse than...
Look at you randomly saying dog whistle without any context.
But
Jesus.
Just an insane thing to watch. This video, I believe, was built, or this bridge, I believe, was built in 1977. And, of course, is a key roadway for cargo ships going to and from the port. And now, I assume, it's going to have to be rebuilt, which could take years, potentially. This gives you a better idea of the scale of the bridge. It is a massive bridge. Again, 1.6 miles long. Cargo ship itself is massive, so you can imagine just the size of this bridge. Now, a little more from this. So this is from the Baltimore Banner. Maryland Governor Wes Moore said the ship's crew had notified authorities of a mayday caused by a power issue that enabled transportation officials to stop traffic traveling over the bridge. So they were warned ahead of time that this ship was having issues. They were warned by the crew. Emergency crews ensured that there weren't people going over the bridge. The governor going on to say here, I have to say I'm thankful for the folks who, once the point came up and notification came up that there was a mayday, Moore said, who literally, by being able to stop cars from coming over the bridge, these people are heroes. They save lives. There were...
Hi, Mark Barden at Sandy Hook Promise here. When the gunman shot his...
So there are 2 people missing. So officials said that 2 members of a construction crew that was on the bridge at the time, they were apparently repairing potholes, had been rescued, while 6 others remain... Sorry, 6 people missing, 2 people rescued. There were 8 altogether who I guess were on the bridge at the time. Amazingly, 2 people did survive, but 6 are still missing, and there's a little more on that here.
Yikes.
From Justin Fenton here. The missing men are from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico, and live in Dundalk and Highlandtown. They are in their 30s and 40s with spouses and children. All of them came to the city for a better life. Quote, they are all hardworking, humble men. So, this is incredibly tragic. It's lucky that this happened at 1:30 in the morning. We can only imagine how much...
Yeah, it could have been so much worse. Also, like, shame on these people. Like, all of these freaking clowns, these far-right clowns, absolutely disgusting, vile people, to try to use this as an opportunity to be xenophobic. I always wondered, do those guys really believe in the bullshit they're posting? Some of them do. Some of them are for the grift. I don't know. I'm not here to try to sort that one out. I mean, like, even far-right people like Matt Walsh, train derailment, supply chain crisis, planes falling out of the sky, ships crashing into bridges. I don't know what's the cause of this latest catastrophe, but the overall picture is quite bleak. Dude, there's answers to all of these questions. You know that, right? Train derailments. Well, it turns out if Matt Walsh bothered to take 5 seconds, and he knows that his audience isn't going to really, like, take a look at any of these claims, right? It's just conspiracy baiting because he has this far-right conspiracy-based audience. So train derailments like the Norfolk, which we went over, by the way, was a direct result of the own company's efforts to fight deregulation, all for the sake of profit. Supply chain crisis. Where do you think all that comes from? How was that all engineered? That's right. Somebody just pointed it out in chat. Capitalism. Planes falling apart in the sky. How did that happen? Which company comes to mind? Boeing. Why? We know why. They're trying to cut corners for the sake of saving money. That's why the planes are falling out of the sky. In a lot of harbors, they use tugboats to bring in big ships, and now to use pilots that come on board and sail the boat in and out. Yep, that's true. I wonder when someone will come up with Mexican immigrants to blame for it. Yeah, Maria Bartiromo just did. I'll play it again. It's like 50 seconds.
Liz, let me also get your take on what's going on in terms of world affairs. The White House has issued a statement on this saying that there's no indication of a nefarious intent in the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. The ship involved in the collapse of the bridge is 948 feet long, called the Dolly, a Singaporean flagged container. But of course, you've been talking a lot about the potential for wrongdoing or potential for foul play given the wide open border.
Yeah, like the wide open border. Like literally just saying like, yep, it's the brown people's fault, even though you just okay, yeah, stone toss. Hans, yep, we'll get to his Nazi ass in a second. Yeah.
Much worse this could have been, but it is tragic that these lives are likely lost because of this accident.
Yeah, and how disgusting is it that like all these people are using that just to take a shot at being freaking bigoted.
This is the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, with a few of his comments here.
Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to, first and foremost, pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local.
Now, the reason why I'm showing you this video, this otherwise unremarkable clip, is because this was tweeted out by...
Yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, that's it. The Simulacra was pointing this out as well.
Dipshits. Whoever this person is, I don't even know what this name is, but I am yes, you are no. Almost 300,000 followers. Saying here, this is Baltimore's...
Yeah, the DEI mayor apparently is responsible for mechanical failure.
DEI mayor. Diversity, equity, inclusion mayor for some reason. I wonder why they're saying that.
I wonder.
On the collapsed Francis...
Bunch of cowards.
Scott Key Bridge. It's going to get so much worse. Prepare accordingly. Someone else here. This guy is running for Congress. Anthony Sabatini.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah, this is the Florida man. I know exactly who this guy is. I think such bigotry speech should be a crime. Nah, I don't know about crime. However, I do think that Twitter has terms of service, and they should probably enforce it. Because on paper, they have terms of service against a lot of this kind of stuff. That is a slippery slope, but unironic one. So Sabatini is the guy. Well, his like the thing that sticks out to me is that Sabatini was the guy that pushed for constitutional carry or permitless carry in Florida. Like that's his main thing that I remember him for.
Republican candidate for Congress in Florida's 11th. He's a chairman of the Lake GOP, an attorney at a law firm, saying DEI did this to try and claim the mayor of Baltimore, who is a black man, is only there because of DEI, is, for one, clearly racist.
Yeah, obviously, because like that's not like a job position that you get selected. You have to be elected mayor. Okay, it's just racism, and the fact that like all of these like far right clowns are coming out of the woodwork just to say that this was like because of diversity. is just disgusting. It's just disgusting.
Secondly, incredibly stupid. This is Baltimore. He won with, what is it, 70% of the vote in 2020. You get into public office because people voted for you.
Right. Exactly. Probably should have a guide or a guide ship for such vessels. Yeah, like exactly like the Girly Bear was saying. They have like pilot tugboats. I mean, these big cruise ships have them, but I don't know, enough to say like would they deploy them there? Is that like a regular thing? Do all tanker ships use them? Can tanker ships? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know, but it would not be surprising if it is a failure in regulation that ended up causing this. Companies cut corners all the time, and probably left this crew screwed. Who knows?
Star Trek tells us that there will be a future. It gives us comfort.
Here is Maria Bartiromo on Fox News. Just for some reason, bringing up the border during a discussion on the bridge.
There is. Let me also get your take on what's going on in terms of world affairs. The White House has issued a statement on this saying that there's no indication of a nefarious intent in the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Data. I think tankers are too big, like the one that got stuck during the pandemic. The tugboats departed as the cargo ship was underway in the correct channel. The ship's power just lost is unexplained. Gotcha. Okay, they can use tugs. Gotcha.
The ship involved in the collapse of the bridge is 948 feet long, called the Dock.
Oh, they can't. They can't use tugs. Gotcha. The tugboats departed as the cargo ship was underway. The ship's power loss is unexplained. Yeah, supposedly all we know is it's probably mechanical failure. At the end of the day, this will turn out as a tragic accident, which may or may not have been prevented, but it's without a doubt no conspiracy. Nah, I don't think so. Firefly, welcome. Speaking of which, I see. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, feds recently hit cargo giant in Baltimore disaster for silencing whistleblowers. Regulated cited Maersk for its illegal policy on blocking employees from reporting safety concerns to the Coast Guard. Whew. The company that chartered the cargo ship that destroyed the Francis Scott Key Bridge was recently sanctioned by regulators for blocking its employees from directly reporting safety concerns. Yeah, this is literally just like Boeing. Oh, man. God dang, Conscious Connect called it. Conscious Connect called it. In violation with the Seaman Whistleblower Protection Law, according to the regulatory filings reviewed by the lever. Yeah, I mean, wow. Wow. Yeah. Cool. Nice meme. Nice meme. Your prize getting to see the end before anyone else as it flies at you in space and time.
Ali, a Singaporean flagged container. But of course, you've been talking a lot about the potential for wrongdoing or potential for foul play given the wide open border. That is why you have been so adamant. Why has the Republicans had such a hard time securing this border? The president says he's not going to take his executive action. You know that.
Why is the border being brought up in a discussion about the bridge?
Right, because racism, which brings us to our well-known friend Hans. literally, without, it's literally just like the racism, right? Essentially blaming it on foreign workers, which, yeah. I don't think that's very subtle. Constant tail derailments, planes falling in, now ships just American infrastructure, but it's definitely not capitalism. Yeah, no. Our friend Matt Walsh would have you thinking other stuff. I don't know the cause of this latest catastrophe, but overall the picture's quite bleak. And of course, the Nazis, Nazis didn't miss a beat commenting on that. When your coworker is being fired for criticizing Israel, crazy, because get it, it's the Jewish people. Sometimes accidents happens, planes crash, and rarely ships sink, struck bridges. Nah, but there is a commonality. I think I pointed that out. Imagine being Matt Walsh and then imagine actually typing this out and then hitting send. It's actually amazing how little intellectual curiosity there is on the right. There are definitely answers to these questions. You may even see a commonality. These are not like accidents. Does that make sense? Like, I use that word loosely because it's not like these workers were intentionally trying to do this, but companies actively fight to lower safety standards. Companies actively fight for deregulation. Companies actively lobby for the ability to take to cut corners. And like Firefly was just posting that article we just went to, strong arming workers into not being able to say anything. I mean, yeah, definitely not capitalism. Like I said, you may even. So yeah, without skipping a beat, Hans did not waste any time or not waste an opportunity to be a racist piece of shit.
Or maybe it's vice versa. Why is the bridge being brought up in this discussion about the border? This is an attempt to try again and connect fears.
And if you try, they'll 360 no scope you. Yep. I just can't go along with your theory. It was an accident, pure and simple. Right, in the sense that nobody intended for this to happen, but this constant fight for deregulation, and it's no surprise that the same company that we just talked about was also being hit for trying to silence employees who are reporting safety concerns to the Coast Guard, which, wow, would it be honestly surprising and out of pocket to think that all of this was some kind of faulty issue that probably should have been fixed a long time ago? Yeah, it wouldn't exactly be off basis, This is what, in case you missed it, this is the same company who was literally hit for silencing whistleblowers. So, yeah, does that make sense? I'm not saying, it wasn't an accident, because obviously it was. The workers didn't intentionally cause a power supply issue. But this constant fight for deregulation, silencing whistleblowers for trying to elevate safety concerns, it does lead to these incidents. Could it have been prevented? Maybe. Maybe. We don't know. But the point being is that a situation like this was going to be inevitable, right? When you have companies behaving in this, when you have companies behaving in this manner, it's inevitable that eventually you're going to have a situation like this. That's my point.
Unfound fears to various political issues that support your side. Here we get to Marjorie Taylor Greene. There should be a serious investigation into the horrifying tragedy of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Maryland. Is this an intentional attack or an accident? Now, again, it's, a random Twitter account is still a problem if they have hundreds of thousands of followers. This is even more a problem when you are a sitting congressperson tweeting out trash like this. I'm starting to think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a DEI hire because she's too fucking stupid to be in any position of power.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is just conspiracy bait, right? This is just conspiracy bait. Like, you didn't even have any information at the time to even be tweeting this, unless you're trying to conspiracy bait to all these far-right weirdos. USA Today said that the ship had been in a prior crash into a pier. The same company who's silencing whistleblowers for potential safety concerns? That's interesting.
This is the video she tweeted out. So this guy who makes a living off of conspiracy theories shows how the boat lost power, which it did. That's why there was a mayday ahead of time. Look, again, I don't know why the boat lost power. I'm sure we'll find out more. But if this was intentional, choosing 1:30 a.m. for an attack is an interesting choice, especially when it's a boat that you have very little control over if you're hacking the boat, cutting the power to, which is what's being suspected here by this guy. Is that, like, there's no guarantee you'd be successful. Secondly, why would you choose 1:30 a.m. and give minutes ahead of time to crews to be able to clear the bridge? I'm losing my mind at how many of these people have lost their minds. So I guess we've all gone crazy.
Never miss an opportunity to be a racist piece of... Hans Graber had time to make another comic because he wasn't actually doxxed. He wasn't actually doxxed the way his fan goals claimed. Yeah, Jewish space lasers took out the power on the boat. True. Yeah, I'm just someone who's having a really hard to believe in any conspiracies. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, like, you kind of have to follow where the logic goes, right? You have to follow where the evidence goes and not just, pick breadcrumbs and run with them, right? There's no conspiracy theory here. It's just all very, very, like, known and open. It's just very well known and open if you just take, like, 5 seconds to question, like, what exactly, or just to ask a couple of simple questions, right? The supports of the bridge also never had anything constructed around them to help them block a direct hit, as you see on the newer bridges and ones that were retrofitted. I mean, like, even if that was, like, reinforced, like, man, those container ships are huge and massive. Like, the momentum and weight that ship has, like, would it have even mattered? I don't know. Even if it was retrofitted, that's just lack of more regulation. I've seen the same thing happen on a smaller scale. $117,000 tons. Like, I mean, you would have to have some. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can, defend a bridge against something like this. But I don't know. The amount of momentum behind a ship that size just seems almost futile to try to even protect against, right? Like if a container ship that massive is going through, it's going through.
This guy too. Like again, these are randos, but the reason why I'm showing you them is because they have large followings. Large followings. These massive dipshits tweeting out things they don't know anything about. Now, as I said, 6 people are still missing, and here is Joe Biden.
I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible.
Why do we have effing tankers so big? Yeah, capitalism. Yeah, and like some of the discourse that like people are talking about on the twitter.com, because, you know, that's where you go for discourse, is like, oh, well, now, you know, Amazon, who's on the other side, there goes your 1-day shipping. My brethren in Christ, there are things that are constructed out of the supports so many bridges that can at least take some of that energy. Gotcha. So supports don't take a full-on direct hit. Gotcha. Can the shipping company pay for the bridge? Were they insured? Well, I don't know if that's how that would work. In an ideal scenario, maybe I'm wrong, but in an ideal scenario, it would be the company's. It would be on the company's bill. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, simple physics. It's more that's impossible to protect bridges from a ship that size. Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking. Like a ship that big, would it even matter? Probably not. Was the ship's captain streaming when this happened? No, I don't think so. Is it? Were they? Were they streaming? I doubt it.
And we're going to work hand in hand with the support of Maryland to support Maryland, whatever they ask for. We're going to work with our partners in Congress to make sure the state gets the support it needs. It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge. And I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way.
Imagine the captain being made to pay personally. I can picture them just throwing them under the bus. Yep. It's also the harbor's responsibility letting such a big ship take that route.
Until the port is reopened
Gotcha.
and the bridge is rebuilt.
All right, so Joe Biden here, to his credit, being a leader, trying to push through this effort to fully support the cost of building a new bridge. I would assume there's going to be no pushback to this in Congress, but we all know how this shit works. I'm sure there will be, because there are lots of clowns in the halls of Congress.
Yep. I suppose we'll see what comes out of that. I think that's all I got. Joe was in my city today. He got heckled for not caring about healthcare in Gaza. Or in America, for that matter. Yeah. On my watch, healthcare is a right in this country, not a privilege. No. No, come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. You don't gotta gaslight us like that. You don't gotta gaslight us like that. Hey, Kotsta. If Orange Foulius gets elected, you know it'll end up being the Trump Bridge. I did that. During Joe Biden's tenure, bridges were collapsing. Did you see the Francis Scott Key Bridge is now the Trump Bridge? I did that. You're throwing Nazi label to everyone that has a disagreement, so I wonder what your definition of is a Nazi. Also, you realize Nazis were fascists in the first place. What does it mean? What? Not really. This dude is a Nazi. Are you saying Stone Toss isn't a Nazi? Wait. Who have I incorrectly labeled as a Nazi? Stone Toss is definitely a Nazi. Like that's not a term that I'm throwing around willy-nilly. The guy over here that I called a Nazi is also a Nazi. We just went over a segment. Christ is King is literally in their bio. Professional racist. Yeah. Yep. Nazis think some people are genetically superior and talk openly about conspiracies and minorities. Yeah, Stone Toss had a whole Nazi forum on the server. Yeah, it's derived from the Nazi party. I mean, like, this is the type of stuff the dude's reposting, okay? This is literally a Nazi account. Nazi is not a political philosophy per se, as though it is used that way. Nazi is not a political philosophy per se, although it is used that way. Well, it is an ideology, is it not? Just out of curiosity, again, from my German point of view, how do you distinguish a Nazi from a right-winger? You kind of hit a point. I don't even have to say anything after that. Nazism is what we call Hitler German fascism. You kind of just hit on a point. Like, do I even need to go any further than that? Like, the fact that, how do you distinguish a Nazi from a right-winger? I don't know. It all seems to kind of lead that way. I mean, we just we just made like a segment of how like these right-wing media outlets just harbor a bunch of Nazis, and the moment someone pushes back or says that Nazis are bad, all these Nazis come out of their woodwork, their audience, to attack them. I remember the Steven Crowder a while ago posted on Twitter that I can't believe this has to be said, but Nazis are bad, and all the freaking Nazis in his audience came out of the woodwork too. So yeah, they go to the same conferences, chat in the same rooms. Yeah, I think we get the point, right? And the fact that you're asking that question, Blue Brother, is a testament right there. That in and of itself is the point. That's you know what? True. How do you distinguish a Nazi from a right-winger? Because from my point of view, Nazi in the modern context is a typical fascism plus white supremacy, and rooted in the whole anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Yeah. So Nazis are usually Nazis are like your far right. Nazis are your far right nationalistic types who are specifically fascist in nature, with specifically like the whole anti-Semitism thing. You might call the German CDU party as right wing, but I'd never refer to them as Nazis. Maybe because our right wing party is just a Nazi party, so it's kind of hard to tell the difference. When you have, you know, here at least, the Republican Party is the far right. Like the Republican Party is just the Nazi party here. I'm not saying that as a. I'm not saying that as a hyperbolic statement. I mean, like the Republican Party has way too many ties to Nazi influencers, to Nazi people like Nick Fuentes, who's all over the Republican Party and who's like a big part of the whole America First thing. So yeah. In this context, how do you differentiate a right-winger from a Nazi? Good question. Right-wing but not Nazi equals greedy capitalist, and religious puritanical, or both, or maybe isolationist. Well, the thing is, there are people like that too. There are people that are like that. Although I have noticed that a lot of like religious puritanical types, I have noticed that a lot of like religious puritanical types just end up being Nazis. They just end up being Nazis. They're about to oust the Speaker of the House over squabbles. Yep. That party is pretty splintered from what I hear. Yep. Yeah, huge overlap on that Venn diagram. I hope so. Like, I actually hope that that Marjorie Taylor Greene follows through that motion to vacate. But I guess we're not going to find out until a couple weeks from now, right? Look, if you're not a Nazi, then you have nothing to worry about, okay? Let's try this approach. A right-winger might disapprove of same-sex marriage, but is still liberal when it comes to asylum. Maybe. But it's very hard. We could say Nazi adjacent to be clear. Yeah, I mean, like that's your only options, right? You're either straight up just Nazi, a Nazi, or like you are Nazi adjacent, which like no. The thing is, like a right winger here in this country would actually be against both. Like right wingers in this country both are against same-sex marriage. In fact, they're actively pushing to eliminate protections for same-sex marriages, and also are incredibly xenophobic and anti immigration. Like that's just your far right person here anyways. And like the unicorns that exist, that somehow here in America that hold those two positions, that they are against same-sex marriage but are actually in favor of asylum for immigrants, just end up voting Republican anyways. And we see what their policies are like in terms of immigration. Margarine gangrene. Like, does that make sense? All right, we got a couple of headlines to go through before we end the night. Ken Paxton has reached a deal to end security frauds charges after 9 years. Yep, he gets to walk, folks. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on Tuesday agreed to pay nearly $300,000 in restitution under a deal to end criminal security fraud charges that have shadowed the Republican for nearly a decade. The announcement by special prosecutors in Houston came less than 3 weeks before Paxton was set to stand trial on felony charges that could have led to a prison sentence. It was the closest Paxton, who was indicted in 2015, has ever come to trial over accusations that he duped investors in a tech startup near Dallas. Under the 18-month agreement, a special prosecutor would drop 3 felony counts against Paxton as long as he pays the full restitution on his victims and completes 100 hours of community service and 15 hours of legal ethics education. Paxton said nothing but in the courtroom other than affirming to the state district judge that he signed the agreement and avoided reporters by leaving the court through a back door. Yeah, nice, cool. It must be nice to be wealthy and connected to avoid, felony counts and whatnot. Yeah, he's a rich guy, so no prison time. Nice. And 300,000 is probably fine for him. Cool. Are you American? Yeah, I am. Trump indicates he'd testify in hush money trial, says a conviction could make me more popular. This is after or before I should say, the judge in this trial, I think, reimposed a gag order on Trump. But we unleash billions of dollars to make cops into militaries. Robocops to chase down one guy for a bag of Doritos and ice cream and put that guy in. Yeah, exactly. That's where that's where everything needs to go. Why have you been to Israel? No. Why are you why? Dude, that is so weird. Why have you been to Israel? Why would you ask that? This makes zero sense. Anyways, I muted the asparagus. And for the record, I don't even like asparagus, okay? As much. I'll eat asparagus. Jesus, now I'm getting hungry. I'll eat asparagus on occasion. But like it's broccoli where it's at, okay? Broccoli is the superior side vegetable, if that's what you want to call it. You can fight me on that. Broccoli is the superior side veggie. That's right. That is something that I will stand by. That is something that I will stand by. As a broccoli guy, there you go, see? Asparagus is fantastic, it just needs some lemon sauce. Both are quite good. I don't know, I just don't like asparagus as much. I'll eat it if it's in front of me. But it's not in my top tier list. Former President Trump indicated to ABC News on Monday yesterday that he would testify at his upcoming criminal trial in New York over hush payments to Stormy Daniels. I would have no problem testifying, he said, when asked at a press conference following his court appearance in the case whether he would testify. I did nothing wrong, and they still indicted me. I'll strongly fight you on that. I really look forward to next asparagus season. Oh man, chat is pulling all sorts of way. Spinach? Really? I don't know. Fried asparagus is the poor boy sandwich. I don't know. I just can't get on board as much. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll still eat asparagus. Okay? It's just not on my favorite list. I don't know how you can have a trial in the middle of a presidential election, Trump said, because that's how it works. That's how trials work, saying repeatedly unsubstantiated claims that legal battles he faces are part of a political prosecution by his opponents. No evidence of that. The judge overseeing the case, Juan Merchan, ruled on Monday that the trial will begin on April 15th, rejecting Trump's request for an additional delay. Trump last April pleaded not guilty to 34-count indictment, charging him for falsifying business records in connection with the hush money payment his then attorney Michael Cohen made to Daniels just days before the 2016 presidential election. The former president has denied any wrongdoing. The case was initially scheduled to begin jury selection on Monday, was adjourned for 30 days by Merchan earlier this month after defense attorneys raised issues with the late production of over 100,000 pages of potential evidence by federal prosecutors. Asked by ABC News at the press conference if a conviction could hurt his chances for re-election, Trump said it could also make me more popular. Yeah, dude's going for broke, quite literally. Fresh spinach is good. I grew up thinking spinach meant the canned stuff. During the season, it's on the menu at least weekly. Spinach and onion lasagna. Onions are the devil. Nah, hold on. Hold on. What are all these food takes in chat today? Listen, onions are okay. All right? Onions are acceptable. Wait, actually, hold on. I might have to rescind my statement on spinach. I might have to rescind my statement on spinach. Yeah, I did open up Pandora's box. I'm very hungry, so like, of course, I'm going to food. Yeah, I'm gonna rescind my comment on spinach. Okay. I would like it known that I would like my words regarding spinach to be struck from the record. Okay. I am that I am, and all that's all I am. Tell them to be nice to me. The onions? Fine. I just threw a bunch of onion seeds, and they're starting to sprout. So we might get some onions in a couple months, maybe. Separately, New York's appellate court also ruled on Monday to lower Trump's bond from $464 to $175 million in a separate civil fraud case, which was found to have inflated the value of his properties to get better loan terms. If Trump testifies in the hush money case, it would be the third count of testimony in the election cycle for Trump, who faces 88 charges across 4 criminal cases. He has denied all wrongdoing. Earlier this year, the former president took the stand in the New York defamation case brought by Jean Carroll, in which he was ordered to pay $83 million for defaming her. Speaking to reporters on yesterday, Trump appeared uncertain about whether he would be spending his own money to support his campaign, after saying for days that he was planning to use his own money where he not thwarted by the $464 million. Dang it, that's what it was. Green onions are great, white, red, and yellow. Not my fave, but y'all enjoy it. I don't like raw onions. No. Raw onions, you know, that's a little bit too much. But yeah, you throw that. You can make some good salsa. Some good salsa for chips. Oof. You get your peppers, your jalapenos, maybe a bell pepper or half a bell pepper. You get maybe a quarter of an onion, if that. Like it doesn't have to be a lot. If that, and then your tomatoes, maybe 4 Roma tomatoes, I want to say. Make sure that you bake everything and get it in the mortar and pestle. Can I vote for both? There you go. ¿Por qué no los dos? I believe you can vote for both. I don't know how that works. Or maybe you can't, actually. Vote? What if I... Stop the count! Stop the count! Report the poll, fake poll. Stop the steal. I'll vote broccoli on YouTube and asparagus on Twitch. Stop the count. Fake poll. Honestly, you could chase me with broccoli. Trust me, I'd run the 100-mile record if you hit me with it. Look at that. It's a perfect, perfect even poll. Exactly 3 votes each. Look at that. Quote, first of all, it's none of your business, Trump quipped when he asked if he now plans to use his money to finance his campaign now that the bond has been lowered to $175 million. I might do that. I have the option, but if I have to spend $500 million on the bond, I wouldn't have that option. I have to start selling things. Oh, no. Trump said the original 464 allowed him to spend very little money on campaign. If I choose, I'll be spending money on my campaign. If I might spend a lot of money on my campaign, but I should have that option. Trump dismissed the idea of borrowing money from foreign entities to secure the $175 million. I don't do that. I don't think you'd be allowed to, possibly. I don't know. Trump said the biggest banks, frankly, are outside of our country, so you could do that, but I don't need to borrow money. I have lots of money. Lots of money. So we'll see. Man, this dude's going to end up broke. This guy's going to end up worse than Mike Lindell. How anticlimactic. Yeah. Kamikaze, welcome. This one, honestly, like, do we even need to spend time? Better late than never. Worse than Mike Lindell, is that even possible? He might be worse off than Mike Lindell. I'm not gonna lie. Like, who knows? I mean, like, Mike Lindell is probably gonna lose everything. But like, Trump might, like, if all goes like the way, you know, the way it's supposed to go, Trump might lose a lot. So I don't know if he'll end up worse than Mike Lindell, because I mean, like, he's not going to be able to do business in New York. He's going to have his assets seized if he can't pay up the fee or whatever. No one's going to work with him. The only people that are left in Trump's circle are like absolute cranks. I don't know. RFK Jr. named Silicon Valley attorney Nicole Shannon as his running mate. The independent presidential candidate and conspiracy theorist Robert F. Kennedy Jr. named attorney and tech entrepreneur, an incredibly wealthy person, as his running mate. I'm proud to introduce to our next vice president of the United States, my fellow lawyer, a brilliant scientist, technologist, and a fierce warrior mom. Shannon's selection will accelerate Kennedy's attempt to gain ballot access as many states as possible. Nearly half require a VP pick. So, yeah. It's Jover. She got money. RFK is a total loon. Yep. I want a partner who's a gifted administrator, but also possesses the gift of curiosity, an opening, inquiring mind, and confidence to change even her strongest opinions in the face of contrary evidence. So, is she like another like anti-vaxxer? I want someone with a spiritual dimension and compassion, idealism, and above all, a deep love for the U.S. I found all those qualities in a woman who grew up right here in Oakland. Yeah. So, we'll see if this makes any difference, honestly. Or if this swings things in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to be honest. I think that this guy's effect is not going to be that much. If anything, it's a detriment to Trump. If anything. Good news, folks. Supreme Court seems poised to reject abortion bill challenge after arguments over FDA action. RFK is even worse. He's causing deaths every single day with his anti-vax conspiracy theories. That's RFK running for president of the United States. Cool. The Supreme Court on Tuesday appeared to incline to side with the FDA. Yeah, so that's surprising. In a case involving a commonly used abortion pill and a recent agency action that made the medication easier to obtain, as the justices raised questions about whether a group of doctors challenging the move demonstrated they had proper basis to sue in federal court. At the center of the legal battle is the pill mifepristone, which is taken with another drug to terminate an early pregnancy. Approved by the FDA in 2000, more than 5 million patients have taken mifepristone, according to the agency, and studies cited in the court filings have shown it's safe and effective. In 2016 and 2022, the FDA took steps to make mifepristone more accessible, including allowing it to be taken later into pregnancy and delivered through the mail without an in-person doctor visit. A group of anti-abortion rights doctors and medical associations challenged those changes, claiming that the FDA violated the law. The Supreme Court is now reviewing a decision from a federal appeals court that found that the agency's actions were unlawful. A ruling in the case known as FDA versus Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine that unwinds those changes could threaten to curtail access to mifepristone nationwide, even as state laws with protections, even in states with laws protecting abortion access. Rolling back the FDA's actions would inflict grave harm on women across the nation, said Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar told the court. She reiterated that from the ruling from the lower court marks the first time any court has restricted access to the FDA-approved drug by second-guessing its judgment about the conditions required to ensure its safety. The justice focused on most of their questions on whether doctors who filed this lawsuit had shown that they may be injured by its actions and whether those alleged injuries could be traced to the FDA's easing of the rules. In other words, standing. Do they even have standing? Like, why are we even here? If the court decides that the doctors do not have legal standing to sue, it could order the case to be dismissed without deciding whether the FDA acted lawfully when it relaxed the requirements to obtain the medicine. In one exchange with Aaron Hawley, the lawyer for Alliance Defending Freedom, who represented the Medical Association and doctors, Justice Sonia Sotomayor said there's an infinitesimally small chance that a pregnant woman who may need medical attention after taking mifepristone would end up in a hospital where one of the member physicians is working. Hawley pointed out the justices declarations from two doctors filed in an earlier stage in the case said that she showed that they had been complicit in terminating a pregnancy for a patient who experienced complications from a medication abortion. But Justice Amy Coney Barrett pushed back and said it didn't appear that the doctor had actually participated in this procedure. Justice Elena Kagan pressed Hawley to point the court to one individual who could show that they've been harmed by the FDA's rules for mifepristone. You need a person to be able to come in and meet the court's regular standing requirements. Who is this person? Justice Neil Gorsuch and Ketanji Brown Jackson indicated that they struggled with the reach of a decision that would roll back the FDA's 2016 and 2021 changes nationwide. Jackson said there's a significant mismatch between the injury claimed by the doctors and the remedy they sought, a nationwide order blocking the FDA's latest actions. They're saying, because we object to having forced to participate in this procedure, we're seeking an order preventing anyone from accessing these drugs at all. Gorsuch echoed Jackson's point, observing that there have been recently a rash of universal junctions. This case seems like a prime example of turning what could be a small lawsuit into a nationwide legislative assembly on an FDA rule. Chief Justice Roberts questioned why the courts couldn't provide narrow relief that applied only to the doctors involved in the lawsuit as opposed to targeting the FDA more broadly. Access to mifepristone has remained unchanged while legal proceedings in the case have continued since the High Court has issued the order last April, preserving its availability. The relief will remain in place until the Supreme Court hands down its decision, expected by the end of June. So that's cool. It seems that, the Supreme Court is not inclined to side with these crazy people trying to ban these abortion pills. So that's good to hear. Of course, as this case moves along, we've been tracking this case for a while. Any updates, we'll keep tabs on the case, but as we talked about not too long ago, this is actually a welcoming headline for once by the Supreme Court. I figured we might as well end on this momentary W, you know? And those are rare, indeed. Indeed. And those are rare. So you know what? I'll take it. Even if it's momentary. Of course, that's not the final decision of the Supreme Court, but it's in the right way. It's in the right direction, I should say. All right, folks. It is a time for me to go get dinner. All right, all this food talk has made me very hungry. Folks, if you enjoy the content, don't forget, hit the follow button. It really does help us out. If you're on the YouTube, I see you. Thank you for liking the stream. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That's 250. One of you have already done. I appreciate it. Spread the word right here, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Bring a friend. Okay, join the Discord. Listen, this Saturday, Dune, join the Discord. Also, last thing, make sure if you want to support the channel, you can do so in all of those ways. And if you want to check out the merch store, you can, ! Merch. I appreciate that. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Kamikazion. See you. Good night. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. See you probably in 2 weeks from now. No problem. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time. See ya. Bye-bye. Girly Bear, bye-bye. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye, for real.